Risotto is one of my favourite things to cook in the world, and here are my top tips to make a brilliant one. To start off, number one, have a great stock. It is the basis of all risottos. Rick went to a restaurant in Italy once and asked what was in the risotto, and they said good stock, and that is exactly right. So make your own if possible, or buy the best quality you can from your supermarket or your butcher. Second is make sure you got the right kind of rice. This is arborio rice. It's a really good standard risotto rice, but don't try and cook it with long grain or basmati. It won't work because this has got a lot of starch in it. Third tip, pay special attention to the sofrito, which means the softening of the onions and garlic or shallots or whatever you use as your base. Make sure you season them as you go. Maybe 8 to 10 minutes doing that. Then add the heat really high, so when you put in the rice, it toasts the outside because this starts the process. Then wine. Make sure you put the wine in, any wine will do. Reduce that right down before you add your stock, and it has to be hot stock. Make sure it's not cold because it will ruin the process of the starch coming out of the rice and making that lovely creamy mouthfeel. So add your stock, cook it for about 3/4 of the way through, so about 15 minutes. Keep an eye on the rice, keep tasting it. When it starts to soften, and if you actually look at the grains, you'll see 3 little lines in it start to appear as it becomes almost ready to finish. Then keep adding your stock, and then as you get to the end, there's 2 massive points. Firstly, add your cheese at this point. Now, most people add butter, maybe parmesan, but I really recommend a bit of mascarpone as well if you've got it, because it just is so creamy, it's so delicious. And finally, when you've cooked it and it's ready, everything's in, you've seasoned it, it's all ready to go, rest it. Sit it and let it rest for 5 or 10 minutes before you plate it up, just to let that residual heat cook it, let all the starch finally cook, and then it becomes this beautiful, unctuous risotto. And those are my top tips to make the perfect risotto.